Division world champion out of Omaha, Nebraska. He's undefeated, 41-0 with 31 KOs, and he begged for this fight. He wanted Canelo bad because to him, it's all about legacy. I'm not speculating. I'm telling you what I know. And how would I know? It's because I interviewed him. Yesterday, we sat down. Here is my conversation with the one and only Terence Crawford challenging Saul Canelo Alvarez, moving up 2 weight divisions to do it.
Max Kellerman also recognized Crawford's victory as historic, calling it a career-defining moment. He broke down Canelo's loss with sharp analysis, comparing it to the rare challenge of stepping up multiple weight classes to face an opponent who can drag you into a brutal dogfight for the first time in your career. Kellerman emphasized that fighters with genuine confidence don't shy away from danger. They take on the toughest opposition regardless of size, speed, or power. He highlighted how Crawford embodied that fearless mindset, reminding fans that for years, almost no one dared to openly call out Bud. For Kellerman, this fight cemented Crawford's status among the most respected names in boxing history.
Ain't nobody's running, ain't nobody's hiding, nobody's ducking. I mean, Crawford's going to be right there, ready to trade blows with Canelo Alvarez. Why did you use that word war? Why are you feeling that way?
If you go down the list and ask me about tactical advantages, most of them are Crawford.
Crawford could see everything coming. He could see everything coming that Canelo threw at him. He was reading it so well. His guard was so tight as well when he was up at the ropes, when he was exiting, looking to move around.
They looked about the same size. But that was a brilliant performance. And what can you say? I mean, you got to give him his credit. He created a lot of history. He dreamt this fight. He willed it to happen. A lot of people, not me, but a lot of people laughed at him, said, forget about it, no chance against a bigger guy like that.
Stephen A. Smith delivered a fiery response to Canelo Alvarez's defeat against Terence Crawford. He explained that Crawford had been chasing this fight for years as the ultimate test to secure his legacy. In Smith's view, Crawford rose to the occasion on the biggest stage, not only claiming victory but taking away Canelo's spotlight. He stressed that this wasn't just another addition to Crawford's record. It was the kind of defining moment that cements greatness.
Having to jump up 2 more weight classes and fight a guy who might put him in a dogfight, a real one, for the first time in his career.
When we get put in that position, we go find opposition to make that happen. You understand me? So when we go looking for the opposition, we're not concerned about how big they are, how fast they are, how strong they are. We feel like we got enough that we can bring to the table with anybody. That night I fought John Ruiz, I didn't care who was over there. Whoever they brought out that locker room was going to get it. You understand me? That's just what it was. And I think Bud kind of has that feeling. Now, Bud, you got to remember, has been around for a long time. Nobody called him out. You understand me? All the time Floyd came at the boxing floor, never said, I want Bud Crawford.
No one ever said his name.
Hey, all I know is one thing. Israel Mazrimov, he didn't get it. He barely lost.
Yeah, but I was just saying, but nobody called his name.
Shakur Stevenson's respect for Terence Crawford has always been clear. But after Crawford's dominant victory over Canelo Alvarez, his words carried even greater weight. Stevenson explained that Crawford not only delivered on everything he promised leading into the fight, but also reminded the world why he's held in such high regard. He admitted that from the very beginning of his own career, he closely studied Crawford's style, mindset, and discipline. Seeing his idol accomplish something so historic reaffirmed to Shakur that true greatness is built on years of preparation, focus, and consistency. To Stevenson, Crawford is more than just a champion. He's a mentor figure and the very standard of excellence that the next generation strives to reach.
1-0, Molly, with 31 knockouts. He's taken on all comers. I asked him, you're moving up in weight. Why would you not try to get Canelo to come down from 168 to 160 to meet you halfway, since Crawford's last fight was at 154? Crawford said, I want what he has. I want to go take it. I don't want to make, I don't want him making concessions and alterations. I'm coming to take what he has. And you look at him and no one believes that he can't pull it off. He can box, he can punch, he's smart, he's elite, and he wants Canelo. He begged Canelo for this fight.
Aid Oladipo pointed out the dramatic shift in how fans and analysts now view Terence Crawford. Before the fight, plenty of critics labeled him too small, too old, and simply not built to hang with a powerhouse like Canelo Alvarez at super middleweight. But the moment the dust settled, Many of those same voices were suddenly praising him. And rightfully so. Oladipo stressed that Crawford earned every ounce of that respect because he didn't take an easy road. He moved up from lighter divisions and went straight after one of boxing's most dominant champions. That wasn't a shortcut. It was the ultimate gamble. And by beating Canelo convincingly, Crawford proved his defined not by size or age, but by skill, composure, and unshakable determination.
Look, Canelo said he was going to outbox him. He did exactly what I called years ago. And tonight he proved that he's the greatest boxer that ever lived.
Well, in the interview that didn't work, you said, you felt like going on a run watching that tonight. How much inspiration can you take from someone like Terence?
I take everything from him. I've been around him since I was a kid. And just watching that greatness.
Stephen A. Smith emphasized just how determined Terence Crawford was going into the showdown with Canelo Alvarez. He pointed out that while many fighters in Crawford's position might have asked a star like Canelo to meet them at a catchweight, Crawford refused to take that path. Instead, he chose to challenge Canelo directly at 168 pounds, right in the Mexican champion's own backyard. For Crawford, this was never about making things easier. It was about chasing legacy. Stephen A. reminded viewers that Canelo remains one of the sport's most decorated fighters, with world titles across multiple divisions. The fact that Crawford demanded to face him exactly where he was strongest spoke volumes about his hunger to cement greatness on the toughest stage possible.
More tight, more fundamentally sound. While Canelo, even when he was able to get to range, which wasn't a lot, it wasn't often, he was having a hard time landing clean because everything was super wide and out here and to the body out there. And Crawford would either circle out to that same side, to Canelo's lead hand side. He would circle away because Canelo would step straight to Crawford and chase him and not necessarily cut him off. And even when he threw that hook, I was looking for the hook from Canelo, right hand as he stepped through, right? Corral with the lead hand, bang the right hand because you're fighting a southpaw. So yeah, your jab may not be as effective in landing and managing distance and all those things, even though for Terence it kind of was. For Canelo, I was expecting a lot more of that right hand down the middle and over the top, and him jabbing his way, feint jab right hand, and then that lead hook that I thought he would be able to corral Crawford, because Crawford did want to move away from Canelo. He did. He wanted to move away from that power hand. Smart to do. Canelo never took that extra step to step outside of Crawford's lead foot. Again, that orthodox southpaw matchup. It's always going to be a battle of that lead foot. He never took that next step to get outside of that lead foot and then step through Crawford, step to his left where Crawford was going and land his right hand. He just felt like he was falling off to his right with his right hand, and once he fell off to his right after he threw the right hand, there was no follow-ups because he was off balance and Crawford was out the gate and circling back to reset the action. This was a masterful display from Terence Crawford. And again, I looked at this fight, and I don't want to do the thing where I said, oh, Canelo's washed, he's over the top, he's old. Terence Crawford's older than Canelo. Is he as weathered as far as fights are concerned? No. But you can only do one thing when talking about this fight, and that is give credit to Terence Crawford. If you want to say Canelo looked old, that's fine. That's on you. I'm not going to say that.
The Wade concept analyst pushed back hard against the idea that Canelo's loss could simply be chalked up to decline. He reminded everyone that Crawford is actually older than Canelo, so age can't be used as an excuse here. On top of that, Alvarez stepped into the ring with all the natural advantages, size, power, and years of comfort at 168. And yet, none of it mattered. Crawford still found a way to beat him clean. Wade's point was simple but powerful. This wasn't about Canelo slipping, it was about Crawford leveling up to something extraordinary. By stripping away all the excuses, he framed the win for what it truly was: authentic, undeniable, and historic.
Crawford did it again a few hours ago against Canelo. And what makes it even special, or more special, for Crawford is that he did it jumping up, as we know, a couple of weight classes. He did it against one of an all-time, or another fellow all-time great, and he did it against someone who was undisputed and still a pound-for-pound top 10 guy. That's what Crawford did, people. So, all those things people were saying in the lead up to this fight, Canelo's going to be too strong, Canelo's too experienced, Crawford's going to be 38, all that. You have to remember all of that when you give Crawford his flowers. Don't like, oh, well, Canelo looks old. No. I don't want to hear any of that. I've started to see a few people on Twitter start to kind of sort of find excuses already. No. remember everything you said, because Crawford deserves all of that. All of that. Crawford was incredible. Honestly, in the pocket, he was at times showing Canelo, no, I'm stronger than you. I'm going to bully you. Oh, you think you're going to get me in the clinch because you're Mr. 168? No, look at the size of me. I'm jacked as well. I'm swole. And he was moving Canelo around. So by doing that, he got his respect. He didn't switch to orthodox once, stayed in the southpaw stance because he realized early, oh, Canelo don't like this. Canelo does not like this southpaw stance. Canelo's tripping over himself. I'm going to stay here. I'm not going to switch it. No, I like this work. I'm going to stay here. On the ropes, it's like, okay, come in. Because you know when you come in, you know I've got that as well. And I can hurt you as well. Spinning off the ropes. His jab was fantastic. They put up the jab numbers. He was out jabbing Canelo like, it was almost like 10-1. Maybe even 20-1. It was fantastic. And when he needed to land those power shots, he was landing those power shots. It was an incredible performance.
Another boxing analyst broke it down perfectly, calling Terence Crawford's win over Canelo Alvarez a masterclass in ring intelligence. He described the performance as pure genius, noting how Crawford seemed to anticipate every punch before it was even thrown. This wasn't reaction, it was preparation. Crawford had studied Canelo's habits so thoroughly that he was already armed with the right counters before the shots came. That foresight forced Canelo into unfamiliar territory, making his offense look limited and predictable. The analyst highlighted that most fighters, even world-class ones, tend to fold under the pressure of Canelo's heavy combinations. Crawford didn't just withstand them, he dismantled them with calm precision, never once appearing shaken or overwhelmed. What stood out was that his dominance wasn't built on brute force, but on ring IQ, discipline, and strategy. Every defensive move flowed seamlessly into offense, keeping Canelo off balance all night. According to the analyst, this wasn't an upset or fluke. It was the culmination of years of experience and meticulous preparation. By neutralizing one of boxing's most dangerous fighters, Crawford stamped himself as one of the greatest tacticians the sport has ever seen.
Combination punches on the back foot, sort of dictating the pace. And then after about round 6 or 7, Canelo Alvarez knew, 1 second. I need a little freshener. Canelo knew he had to step on the gas. He knew he had to put the fight on its front foot and take it to Terence Crawford and start to try and catch him and bang him on. And when he headbutted Crawford, I thought that could be the start of it. A little bit of a nut, get that down. Yeah, I don't know if there was a cut, but the referee stopped and had a look. And I thought, now Canelo's going to step on the gas. And he did that. He stepped on the gas, he started getting in close, and he started landing a few more shots than he was in the previous rounds. But it wasn't enough. Terence Crawford was able to catch and counter. He was landing a sneaky uppercut from the southpaw stance. He was dominating behind his jab. And then when Canelo stuck it on him, he was dominating up close in the pocket. He was beating him at his own game. Canelo Alvarez must have been fuming in there. He must have thought to himself, what can I do? He couldn't do anything. He needed to pick up the pace, put the pressure on, and sustain the attacks. And I don't want to take anything away from Terence Crawford, but Canelo Alvarez couldn't do that. He couldn't do it for long enough. Crawford looked like he could have done 20 rounds in there tonight at that pace, the way he was dictating and controlling. And Canelo Alvarez was getting marked up, he was breathing heavy, he was getting tired, he was reaching with shots, and he was getting torn apart. It was an absolute masterclass by Terence Crawford. Canelo tried, Canelo came and he had a go, but to be honest, I don't want to rain on the parade of Crawford, but Canelo Alvarez, for me, is well past his best now. He's seen better days. He hasn't got the pace, he hasn't got the fitness to sustain the attack. Afterwards in the interview, he said, I felt great, it's great, I feel good. And don't forget, Crawford's a couple of years older. So I think it's the miles on the clock. Canelo Alvarez had like 67 fights. I know Crawford's had a fair few fights, but he's about 20 fights behind him. So the miles on the clock have caught up with Canelo Alvarez. He's feeling the pace, he's feeling the age.
Carl Froch, the former world champion, zeroed in on Crawford's tactical shift during the middle rounds. Around the 6th and 7th, Froch explained, Crawford made a conscious decision to step forward and take command of the fight. His jab became the key, snapping through Canelo's guard, breaking his rhythm, and pushing him onto the back foot. Froch praised the timing of the adjustment, noting that Crawford knew exactly when to change gears. Instead of letting the fight drift, he seized control and imposed himself with intelligence and precision.
throwing the lead left hook to try and cut this off. And when he did get his foot to the outside, that was an option. But over time, Crawford, as he always does, as the genius boxer that he is and is able to do, starts to find those counter punches. And there was 2 counters in particular that I noted during the fight that I felt were absolutely key for Crawford. The first was the counter off that left hook to the body. Now, Canelo did land these sometimes. That left hook he throws, the lead left hook, is quite unpredictable. But he started to land it quite effectively to the body from time to time. But what Crawford was doing was he was catching it with his elbow, and then he'd throw the straight left hand back at Canelo as a counter shot. He'd throw multiple shots. And what I really loved about his counter work was he'd never throw more than singles or twos or threes. He never got carried away. He never did too much with Canelo. Don't get me wrong though, Canelo was still defensively very astute in this fight, but he simply didn't have the foot speed to get to Crawford. He couldn't do it. And he didn't want to use his own jab because I believe Crawford's lead hand is so effective that southpaw stance really meant he could dominate the fight with his own lead hand. Canelo's not a massive jabber himself, but now that he was fighting someone closer to his size, I thought he might try and implement a jab, but he didn't because Crawford's counters were just too fast and too good. There was a couple of moments in this fight, and I said in my prediction I thought that you'd see Crawford in moments looking absolutely electric and just outclassing Canelo, looking too fast and lighting him up, and we saw that. I'll never forget the beginning of round 9 where he actually stood in the pocket with Canelo and he just rolled with the shots and he was throwing counters. It was absolutely brilliant. But the second counter that he used that was really effective was he'd allow Canelo to throw that single right hand, that straight right hand, that backhand for Canelo, make him miss and come back with his own straight left hand over the top. I also thought that Crawford stabbing to the body was very good. He'd throw straight shots to the body, and that was something I predicted from the Lara fight that he would be able to do. That was also where I got the idea with the exits that I felt would be useful. And the reason we knew they'd be useful and important was because of Saunders just not really dealing with them too well.
Dan Rafael offered a sharp reminder of how this fight was viewed before it happened. He pointed out that plenty of fans and pundits laughed at the idea of Terence Crawford beating Canelo Alvarez. But Crawford himself never bought into that doubt. In his mind, there wasn't some massive size gap to worry about. He saw himself and Canelo as equals. That self-belief carried straight into the ring. Instead of being intimidated by the challenge, Crawford embraced it with calm confidence. Rafael's take underscored an important truth. Sometimes the biggest separator between success and failure is belief. By refusing to internalize the skepticism around him, Crawford not only shocked the world, he shattered the limits of what people thought was possible.